Hello everyone, my name is John Michael Bushman and welcome back to Hearthstone. Happy New Year everyone, and we are starting off the year strong by playing Mill. Yes, you heard me right, we will be playing Mill. This has been a deck that I've been putting in the back of the line like ever since I started playing this game. I have been wanting to show off this deck multiple times, but something just kept getting in the way that I just wanted to show something else entirely. And now is finally the time. We're gonna start the new year off with possibly one of, if not the deck that people do not like playing against. And burning cards from your opponent's hand is apparently a big salt-inducing move, and I am going to do that today. And to be honest, I actually love the psychological damage that this deck does to my opponent because sometimes they get so paralyzed that they basically just allow the mill to happen. And milling in this game, by the way, is different than it is for Magic the Gathering because you don't exactly have a graveyard here in Hearthstone. What would happen is if you have your hand and it's at maximum hand size, and you draw cards beyond that, they will actually be burned away, never to be recovered ever again, no matter how hard you try. And this deck takes full advantage of that, and it's built around this guy right here, these Shellfish. And Rogue was actually the first deck to try this because they have already been doing it for years, thanks to loops with Cold Light Oracle, and they would usually replay this guy like multiple times across multiple turns until eventually your opponent will not have any cards in their deck. However, in their infinite wisdom, they decided to give it to Druid as well, and there's a reason why I have probably over 300 games with this this class now, and it's most of it is due to this deck right here. My first 100 games in Wild with Druid is with this deck specifically, and it has gone through multiple iterations over time. And I did originally just copy and paste this from Christian Hearthstone, and he has also iterated on his deck over time, and it no longer looks like this. In fact, I would, spoiler alert, I would actually recommend you to not use the Shellfish version of this deck anymore, simply due to the existence of one card and one card alone, and because this card basically killed the entire mill archetype. And that is, no, I did not want to add you in the deck, Kill Jaden. There we go. Is because of this guy right here. Replacing your deck with an endless portal of demons, it basically just transforms your deck into a deck that can no longer be like reduced to zero, and then you will just die to fatigue. This deck basically just killed the mill archetype entirely. In fact, it killed a lot of other archetypes that rely on drawing stuff out of the opponent's deck. And this guy was the death nail to Mill in Hearthstone. However, Mill players have adapted and they have adopted Kill Jaden himself and built the deck more building towards him as the win con of the deck, while you're ticking away with your due processes. And you basically have to fight a war on two fronts. You either die to Kill Jaden demons, or your deck will be burned away with due process. But yeah, those are the main win cons of the deck nowadays. But we're going to go a little old school, quote unquote, today by using the Shellfish version of the deck. And again, I will recommend you to not use this version anymore because it is simply way too slow. And of course, with Kill Jaden being in the game nowadays, this archetype is basically dead unless you have Kill Jaden, and Kill Jaden specifically. So we're going to go over the card by card, and starting off with quite possibly one of the better card draw spells that Druid has is Aquatic Form. For 0 mana, by the way, you dredge. Unlike Magic the Gathering, where you dredge, you mill that many equal to the dredge number. No, in dredge, you look at the bottom X cards of your deck, which is usually 3. Aquatic Form in particular, if you have the mana to play the card this turn, you will draw that card. And for Druid in specific, that's very easy. And you would usually use Aquatic Form alongside Moonlit Guidance to find other cards in your deck, digs your way into hopefully your win cons, and you must never leave home without this card. Of course, Naturalize, this has been a staple in Druid decks ever since. I mean, granted, it wasn't exactly a staple at first, because why would I make my opponent draw 2 cards? But just blank destroying a minion, just blanket that and nothing else, that's insane. Why? I mean, I don't care that you get 2 cards. The problem minion is gone. That is what's important here. And yeah, Naturalize, being what it is, it's been a staple ever since people realized that it's an insanely powerful card. Then, of course, we move on to a more techy bit of the deck, Attorney at Maw. A 2 mana 1/3. You either give a minion silence, you just remove turn them into vanillas, or you make them innocent. You give them immune for the turn. He usually works hand in hand with Mishmash Mosher here. I think I've already explained this in like a previous video that had this specific combination, but for this context in specific, this is more a 10 mana board wipe, if you can believe that. But Druid gets to 10 mana like very easily, especially with this specific build. So there is that. When the going gets rough, you don't want the criminal lawyer. You want a criminal lawyer. I do not like what that is fucking implying, but yeah, there we go. Attorney at Maw, definitely have 2 of them if you have the deck slots to do so. Of course, Invigorate. I mean, this is just Wild Growth Plus. It allows you to not just ramp mana, but if you don't need the mana, you can just draw a card instead. Never leave home without less than 2. Of course, Moonlit Guidance is still a cracked-ass card. It also features Guff in the art, and it was in United Installment, so it basically balances itself out. So, never leave home without it. Similar, Solar Eclipse. Again, just a good-ass card, good to have. It doubles the spells that you have in this deck, which you don't exactly have a ton of with this specific build, but doubling up a due process, and I have seen a due process like copied twice with Solar Eclipse. You're basically running 4 copies of due process like all at once thanks to Solar Eclipse. Killed my opponents by just milling them out first before I did. So that's something to keep in mind. But of course, if you don't need to copy due process with Solar Eclipse, a lot of the other spells in this deck also do the same job. And in fact, if you're really desperate, you can like double naturalize one of your opponent's minions, not to destroy them twice over and make them burn the thing or whatever, but no, it's to make them draw 4 cards close to your win condition. Yeah. Solar Eclipse, good card. Never leave home with less than 2. And then now we move on to the specific cards that are in this build. First off, we have Cold Light Oracle. Some builds don't even have this anymore. In fact, it is way too dangerous to give your opponent 2 cards in this freaking economy in Wilds these days. It's decently statted, yes, and it makes each player draw 2 cards. Sure, it is just far too slow these days. It just doesn't do quite enough. You'd rather be doing something more proactive rather than giving your opponent ways to interact with whatever it is you're doing. But, again, we're going to play this deck as it is, simply because I just want to see it perform in this day and age. Then, moving on to the next one, another staple in Druid decks ever since it was introduced, Ferocious Howl. 3 mana, draw 1 card. You probably reconsider it. However, what if I told you it gives you 1 armor for each card in your hand? So if you have like a hand size of maybe 8 or 9, and then this is card number 10, imagine gaining like 10 armor off of this thing, and that is insane value. Another card that you can consider instead of Ferocious Howl in this deck would definitely be Lotus Blossom. 3 mana, draw 1 card, gain 5 armor. So that's a burst gain of armor, but 3 mana, gain any amount of armor depending on the number of cards in your hand. That is, for me, far more impactful compared to what Lotus Blossom can do. Then, another card that is specific to this deck in particular, Hedge Maze. Some builds only run 1 of this, but I prefer to have 2 because I want to hit it as often as possible given the amount of draw power that this deck has. It triggers a friendly minion's death rattle, and you only really have 1, and that is the Selfish Shellfish. There is a meme build that I have like in the docket because I will be releasing 3 mill videos. This card is also helpful for 1 other card in specific, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But otherwise, it's only really here to trigger the death rattle of the Selfish Shellfish. Then moving on to New Heights is just a ramp card. Good ramp card is good ramp card. And this boosts your mana up to a high of 16. The sky's the limit, or at least 99 is. But no. You only really reach up to like 16 total mana, especially if you don't hit like Guff on your way to just drawing stuff in your deck. But 16 mana is usually more than enough to help you win this game, especially with this deck in particular. And then another card that is no longer seen in some of the decks, especially if you don't have the Selfish Shellfish, is Nurture Farmer, which adds additional copies of the Selfish Shellfish. Good God, I'm just realizing that's a tongue twister into your deck, and it does make them into 3/3s, which removes some of the punching power that the Shellfish has. But I can definitely see the appeal. Basically, having more ways to mill your opponent out. This is definitely a good way to do it. In fact, what I would actually do sometimes, Naturalize destroys any minion, not just your opponent's minions. I would actually target my own Shellfish so that my opponent can mill 4 cards. And that happens more often than not, especially with this build. Of course, Renathal, 40 card deck. I mean, the extra 10 points of health are completely worth it. Up next, we have Witching Hour, which you summon a friendly beast that died this game. Not burned away, no, it must have died. The gates to the Jilnean Pet Cemetery must remain locked at all times. Oh, dear God. It's a pet peeve of mine that Shellfish is a beast. I don't know why there are just so few tribal stuff in this game right now when it's so obvious that some creatures don't belong to that creature type more than the others, but I guess it's just a Hearthstone thing. I'm not going to argue too much about that, but Witching Hour is basically a way to get a discounted Selfish Shellfish. And if you actually revive a Shellfish with a copy that came from the North Shore farm, it actually comes back at a 7/7, not as a 3/3. No. It checks for the base stats, not the copy stats. So keep that in mind when you're using this card in particular. Up next, we have Branching Paths. This is basically a cheaper version of Sleep Under the Stars, not Sweep Under the Stars. That's a completely different card. It's a good card. It's basically cheaper, and Sleep Under the Stars has been unfortunately nerfed recently. It's now, I believe, at 8 mana, and it still provides same effects, but it's only 1 mana more expensive, so it's off tempo by a little there. But that is never a problem for Druid because, good God, Druid makes a lot of mana. You're usually only using this for the armor gain. But sometimes the Explore the Darkness can come up, especially if you have like a wide board, thanks to some builds have Scales of Onyxia where you fill the board with 1/1 whelps, or rather 2/1 whelps, and then this gives them the push necessary to kill like most of the stuff on your opponent's board. Then if you desperately need the card draw, just 4 mana draw 2 is sometimes good enough. Then coming up next, the one of the main win cons, rather, and probably the only win con of this deck at this point, barring Killjane, and of course, is Due Process. For the rest of the game, players draw an extra card at the start of their turn, so at its base, this allows you to draw 2 cards at the start of your turn, and then if you use both copies right then and there, you basically draw 3 at the start of your turn. Now, the part where it gets crazy is use it alongside Solar Eclipse, and you basically double the amount of stuff that Due Process does. And if you manage to copy both Due Processes, it makes your opponent draw 6, and that is an insane amount of burn that will be coming your opponent's way. And I did have a match off camera where my opponent somehow managed to make like 8 copies of Due Process, but because I was making him draw far faster than I was, he burned his deck first before I did, and he died before I did, and we were drawing like 8 to 10 cards per turn thanks to all of the effects that we've been stacking on top of each other. Then next we have ETC. Good card is good card. It allows you to assemble a band. This is basically your sideboard. Royal Librarian is definitely a meta call here. I mean, most of these are all like meta calls. This basically acts as your third copy of the Attorney at Maw, but if you don't need it, you can just use it as a 1 mana draw 1. Then, of course, Plate Breaker for the armor heavy matchups. Thank God I don't see Armor Priest anymore. It has wholly been replaced by XL Shadow Priest, or Renathal Priest, as I still prefer to call it. And then, of course, Steam Cleaner to get rid of cards that are like stacked into the deck. Some Warlock builds, especially the ones that don't run the Demon Seed, usually stuff a lot of stuff that didn't start in their deck into their deck, and Steam Cleaner like very easily deals with that. So ETC, good card. Next, we have Poison Seeds. Good board wipe is good, especially when working in tandem with Spreading Plague. So if your opponent has a full board of 7, you make 7 2/2 treants, which, 14 damage is a lot, but if you pair it alongside Spreading Plague, so another 10 mana play that this deck has, you create 1/5s that your opponent literally has to chew through. And this is honestly an interaction that I like doing a lot because my opponent will be dealing with not only the fact that he can't summon his minions because his board is full, but now he also has to deal with a bunch of 1/5s. So, yeah, This card is, I mean, it's still a board wipe. You know, it destroys all minions. So if your opponent is the only one who has minions, then this is basically one-sided. But yeah, never leave them without it, especially if the deck space for it. Now going on to the main star of this deck, the Shellfish. Death Rattle, your opponent draws 2 cards. It seems innocuous at first, but a 4-mana 7/7 is still like insane, by the way. There used to be a 4-mana 7/7 that was meta and was used by Shaman. It gave you Overload 2, and people thought that was broken. But no, we now have a neutral version of a 4-mana 7/7 and just make your opponent draw 2 cards. So a downside that you don't really mind giving your opponent more than the Overload 2. Then of course we have Guff. Good card is a good card. I mean, what more can I say about Guff? Then of course we have Bob the Bartender. Doesn't have quite the ring to it as Builder, but here we are. This is a free legendary that you got off of the Christmas event that rolled by us very, very quickly. But people have said that neutrals like this shouldn't really exist in the game because it basically removes the board-based stuff that a lot of people love about Hearthstone. But given the how busted the game has become, and there are arguments for like both sides. If you remove all of the non-board based stuff, then the control decks would take over, and that would make the game a slog to play, which will then swing back around to not making the board matter, and then the game will be faster. So the Hearthstone team has a lot of work cut out for itself lately. So. We're not gonna get into the weeds of that. Some other content creators in the Hearthstone space can better explain that than I ever will. But going back to what Bob does, he either freezes all enemy minions, and the effect that you would usually use him for often is recruit a minion, where it just bounces a minion back to your hand. Well, an enemy minion, and then your opponent will get 3 coins. So this helps in the burn strat because it fills your opponent's hand with 3 cards that they didn't otherwise need. But of course, they are coins, so your opponent could use them, but your opponent will have to burn a couple of cards first before they get to use it. And the one that gets used the least are Refresh the Tavern and Find a Triple. I have had cases, especially in the coin roll deck that I have slotted Bob in. Find the Triple can help. I'm just realizing these are the Grim Patrons. That's a reference and a half. Oh my god. Oh my god. Refresh the Tavern is also there are use cases for it, but more often than not you're using either Recruit a Minion or Freeze the Shop. Then, of course, Spreading Plague, a highly, highly underrated card by a lot of people's opinions, myself included. Although, do be careful with the Scarab Beetles because they are also beasts, so they will be competing for space with the Witching Hour because usually your only target for the Witching Hour is the Shellfish because it itself is also a beast. But once you have Spreading Plague in rotation, there will be a chance that in the 50-50, you will instead get the Scarab Beetle instead. And this becomes even more deadly if your opponent is a mage and they would use polymorph on your thing. And the sheep that it creates is also a beast, so it will be a 33% chance instead of reviving any one of those 3 instead. But you're really using this against an opponent's full board, and then they would have to deal with a bunch of 1/5s. Now, 1 attack is not scary, but 5 health is insane, by the way. For 6 mana, you summon 7 of these things. That is an insane amount of time that you can get so that you can dig your way out of whatever trouble it is that you're in. Then, of course, I already explained what Mishmash Mosher does. This guy is a 10-mana board wipe alongside the Attorney at Maw. And finally, I have no excuses. Remember when I said in my Paladin video that I opened like 120 packs of Great Dark Beyond recently? Blizzard gave me this guy as a signature. And I needed a place to use him, goddammit, and I replaced the Scale of Onyxia with a card that basically does what Onyxia does. It acts as a board wipe, and this guy can even reduce itself to 0 mana. Good God, I wouldn't have it any other way. This card is powerful. I like a lot of people, I highly underestimated it at first because there is literally no way to test for these cards, as a player, unless of course you're a part of the either playtest team or the development team. But good God, this card is way better than it looked, and it has been a staple at board wipe ever since. And I needed a place to use this guy, and it's a signature. I will definitely not be as tempting as it is disenchanted. I will definitely keep this guy for as long as I can. Good God, it's so rare that I get stuff like this. But here we are at the end of the deck tech, and good God, I didn't want to highlight you, Sleepy Dragon. No, get back in there. There we go. There we go. Let's just keep staring at my signature Caesar's Expanse even more. There we go. Yeah, that is my deck tech for the older version of the mill archetype here on Hearthstone. And without further ado, let's get into these I was gonna say duels and games at the same time, and they tongue-tied, and I was gonna say ghouls. Alright, we'll get into these ghouls, guys.
Malfurion versus Thrall.
We are facing off against Shaman. As you can see, I'm in Diamond 10 again because the new season has just begun. Today is January the 6th by the time I'm recording this video, and we open with the Caesar's Expanse. We're not gonna need it. In fact, I'm gonna full mold this hand. Good God, I need better ramp. Come on, deck. You might have noticed that I don't have Nourish in this deck, in a 40 card deck, and it's honestly a really smart idea to have Nourish in this deck in particular. But surprisingly, I haven't needed it. In spite, it giving me a huge burst of card draw. But we're just gonna skip our turn, and let's see what this guy. Let's see what one of this guy's lines are.
I am listening.
Yes, I am listening indeed. So we're in Diamond 10. The new season has begun. It's January the 6th when I'm recording this video. And I think it's better to show off, the decks that I play on Diamond rather than at Legend. Good God, because Legend gamers are, like, just insane sometimes. And we're better off, like, here and in Diamond. More than... Oh, my God. Fine, we'll just get due process. Then we will ramp with Rejuvenate here. Then we'll just draw our card much later. And good God, Totem Golem, like, immediately on turn frickin' 1. Good God, man. Alright, fine. Someone's playing old school. There was a time where, having a Totem Golem, and I believe there was a card that gave this guy a lot of buffs, and that allowed the player piloting the Totem Golem to, just kill them sooner rather than later. But I think that's what we're facing off against here. And, Diamond 10, so we can't get any lower than that. And let's play the piano here. Now, let's try to open the door. I was able to open this door once. I just don't remember how. I believe I need to... just press a couple of buttons here, and alright, let's reveal the ruby here first, and then make the snakes come out. There we go. Then we'll do some shaking here. There we go. Then we do this, and we'll see if we can get the wings to trigger here. Still nothing yet. No responses yet from the whatever bullshit. I'm choosing to ignore my opponent, like right here. I still have plenty of health to work with, and that is for next turn. We're going to copy the do process here. But yeah, I believe it's the more correct answer here is to just destroy my opponent's board. We can't exactly have that punching our face for too long, because that damage will stack up immensely. Then let's get rid of the diamond on the dog's head there. Then we'll just keep shaking his head. There we go. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Yeah, that's a good boy right there. And my opponent will be drawing cards, destroying the health of his minions, blah blah blah. Yeah. I'm just here playing with the field opponent. I don't care too much. Alright, cool. Let's get this train rolling, because I barely have any cards in hand. Giving the aggro deck cards is always scary, but it's a necessary sacrifice that I have to do here. So, I hope I draw into the stuff that I need soon, or else I will be in a lot, and I'm in a lot of trouble. It would definitely be good to silence the Needle Rock Totem, because, good card is good, and it's one hell of a common, like, Jesus Christ. And it's also dual class, so you can use it both in Warrior and in Shaman. And I have yet to see a Shaman deck that doesn't have this card. Unless, of course, they specifically don't need this card. And, good God, opponents is taking their time, and there's the win con. Oh my God. Oh my God, yeah. I am definitely deader than Elvis here, unless I draw into a board wipe, but I am not too confident about my odds. So, I will either skip to the next interesting point, or, I just die a very, very swift death here. So, I'll see you guys there.
Malfurion versus Jaina.
We're up against Mage, and his name is Diplodocus. I am not quite sure if that is actually the plural form of that word, but We're gonna full mulligan this away. We need ramp first before we can start milling our opponent here. And interaction is nice, actually. More than ramping. So we're going to see what our opponent has for us here. And, ooh, I actually got lucky and hit that one right away. So there's that. What else can we expect at this stage here? Sorry for the people who have arachnophobia. There will be spiders that will be coming out of this right about now. There we go. Should I use the coin here? Nah, I shouldn't. We'll just pass back and we'll greet our opponent. There we go. But the one thing that I do like doing here is doing this. Then pressure builds up, and then it releases whatever that is into the out of the system. There we go. Now we will ramp. I guess we'll save the coin for much later, or we can do it now and make my opponent draw. But I don't think the audio amplifier is our problem here. It'll probably be for much later. Knowing what. Oh God, he has a tourist. Oh God, this is I believe this is a version of the deck that uses supernova. I have heard of that. But we're going to need to do something about it. And unfortunately, we're going to have to run the do process naked here. Because I literally only really need to draw a way to survive whatever it is that's coming. Otherwise, we're just going to die a very swift death. And yeah, he's already building up the mana for it. Good God. I am not drawing pretty well, and that's unfortunate. We'll just set this down so that we have hand space. And then we will swing in for a singular point of damage. I am not liking our odds here. I am drawing nothing but my interaction and a card that will only ever really be useful once my shellfish start dying. But hopefully I draw it soon rather than later. But we're going to see here, and we can actually also like knock this and then draw an 8, and an 8. He doesn't have 8 cost cards. Oh boy, that is surprising. I'm actually thankful for that. Guff! We have a Guff. Alright. That's going to help us draw into what we need here. A ramp card or a card draw card. I mean, we already have ramp and Guff, so more ramp is always nice. I know I should have picked something else, but I can't resist Guff, guys. Come on. I think I should reduce the amount of damage that I'm currently taking, so I'm going to kill this robocaller, and then we're going to just pass back to our opponent here. Again, I'm still not going to use the coin because I do not see an opportunity where I need to use it. Dirty Rat, hopefully, it got a minion that isn't exactly doing anything at the moment, so kudos to them. But I wish it would have hit Renathal instead, so there is that. That seems like a waste of a spell. I don't know why you would do that, opponent, but okay, sure. Have it your way then. Cold Light Oracle, another due process. We're still not getting what we need. Oh my God. We'll ramp it up first, and then we will draw our card with Valley Root. That is something, but not exactly what I'm looking for here. So we'll just put Prince Renathal down, and then we don't have any more mana, so we'll just pass back to our opponent. And then we're going to see what else they do here. I mean, we could just be dead, in spite of everything that I've been doing. But we're going to see what else my opponent does here. Yeah, attack into that. Yeah, sure, attack into that. I don't think their life total matters too much here, simply because they have been drawing to possibly a combo piece here. ETC is not what I expected. I don't know what they're going to get here, but I assume it's up to no good. Add 1/1 minions. Oh, okay, 1/1 copies rather. But, okay, so we draw our 2 cards. Season's Expanse at 50 mana is not exactly it. But, we're going to see what's at the bottom. Another Cold Light Oracle or Ferocious Howl. We'll take the Ferocious Howl, so we can gain just a little bit of armor. So we draw our 1 card. Come on, we still don't have the Shellfish. God damn it.
This must be the way.
There it is, finally. Oh my God. So, the thing about Moonlit Guidance and why it's such a busted-ass card, because we play the Shellfish here, we draw the original copy, and then, for the sake of hand space, we'll actually use the coin And then we will gain a mana crystal. There we go. Then we will trigger the death rattle and make our opponent burn. Yeah, there we go. They burn 1 card. There we go. I forgot that their hand size was set to 11, so there is that. They at least burned 2 cards and 2 cards that unfortunately didn't matter. Watch them hit like, yeah, they hit the C6 expanse.
And I will bring
Oh, their luck is insane. But it is a 15-15, so there is that. Oh, it's now going to be transformed. Great. 1, 2. Oh, really? Okay, sure. That's fine by me. But you still have to deal with a 15-15 opponent. More than anything else. Do you have a way to kill a 15-15? You know, apart from just using your minions to attack into it. I assume you do. You're a mage. Unless you have something else in your ETC board that will allow you to deal with this 15-15. Okay, sure. Ramping up to 6 mana. I don't know what else you're going to do here, opponent. I'm still not sure what they're building up towards. Sure, they froze a 15-15. But, shoot 2 light beams. Sure, now it's down to 11. I will take a bit of damage here. I am still not quite sure what my opponent is doing. But we'll get the Mishmash Mosher here. We'll do just a little bit of spring cleaning here. We'll make him immune to damage, and we'll just see him wipe away this freaking board. And we'll just keep gaining mana crystals here. Then we'll just pass back to our opponent. No reason for me to do anything else at this current juncture. Simply because my opponent is quite literally trying to find something, and I don't know what it is, and I am utterly scared. But he is facing a huge amount of damage on board, so who knows what it is he's drawing towards. I mean, I could just, you know, keep going with the mill plan and just use due process and solar eclipse, because I don't think they'll be doing too much else in this game. but we'll get there when we get there. Okay, watercolor artist, sure. Granted, now that I think about it, the Shellfish didn't exactly die, it was just transformed, so that's something. Okay, all of my minions are frozen. That is your last copy of Frost Nova, I believe. And then he doesn't exactly have anything that didn't start in the deck already, so yeah, I can't use Witching Hour because the Shellfish didn't die, so we'll just, you know, play another one. Then we'll trigger that guy's death rattle. And then I guess we do it, you know, double up due process. Yes, I will be burning my own cards, but I think that is a worthy sacrifice. Then we will draw 2 more cards with the Oracle. There we go. All right. Northshire Farmer is definitely something. And now we will watch as my opponent burns away a good chunk of their deck. Burning away Grifta and an Ice Block is nice. So, and my opponent only has like 9 cards left in their deck, so I am definitely ahead by a couple of cards. So there is that, and I can attack again unless he has another way to like freeze my board here. Discover copy. I'm assuming they're going to copy Frost Nova again, so they're just going to delay here. Unless he has something that requires me to use my ETC, which is something. Oh, they drew something 9, 0, or 6. So it's either a 9 cost, a 0 cost, or a 6 cost. So we're going to see what my opponent drew into momentarily. But oh, by the way, I failed to mention this like at the very beginning of this deck, I am not going to play this in the casual rooms because people hate playing against Milk, and that is actually a good hit off of the Dirty Rat there. But okay, yep, we'll be burning away the branching paths. That is to be expected. And then you know what? I'm just gonna swing. We're going to clear away some of the board. And then I believe... No, he won't. Oh, he survived. Okay, cool. So... Oh, my opponent is immune for this turn? How and why? I believe I missed an effect. Can only take 1 damage at a time. Oh, that's a bit sad. But at least it's damage. There we go. Take 1. Haha! We'll just keep having mana here. There we go. Oh wait, did I draw a card instead? Well, shit. In that case, we'll just do Hedge Maze. Then we will do this. Make my opponent throw 2 more cards. And then I still have 8 mana. What can I do about it? We'll gain more armor, I guess. Witching Hour is not what I expected, so we'll just use Moonlight Guidance, and then we'll draw Bob the Bartender. He can fix
hand
it.
is too
There we
full.
go. All right. Okay, he is burning through more of his deck as we speak. We cast each spell this game to this starting deck. Well, shit. I don't know how wild we're gonna get here, but we will see. Light Show, sure. Okay, I didn't actually realize that that didn't start in his deck. And then, of course, a coin. Yeah, that definitely did start in the deck, so he's going to gain more mana. Potion of Illusion, so he can repeat the process. Okay, yep. So he just does it again, and then adds another copy of Romnath, I believe. So, right, no, he gets 2 more copies, and he just, you know, just machine guns down my board. This is an insane combo you got, opponent, here. That is... Yeah, kudos to you. That is insane. Okay, freeze all enemy minions. Sure. He's been doing that this whole game. Sure. Light Show again. So I could potentially die here, question mark, but we will see. Potion of Illusion. Yeah, sure. Add those to your hand. Give you even less hand space than you don't already have. Sure. Yeah, Romath. Yeah, do it again. Sure. Another Light Show. I have no idea how many beams he's shooting at this point, but I don't think I care. Sure, keep drawing your cards. Now you're going to take fatigue damage. I have no idea how far my opponent is going to take it here, but he's out of board space at least. And by the way, the entire time he hasn't used the Knick-Knack Shack, and we're going to see how much further he goes from here. Potion of Illusion, sure, but you're going to need board space for opponents, so we're going to see how far you go from here. Unfortunately, I no longer have the hand space to do what I need to do here, so yeah. Oh no, we burned away a Poison Seeds. Well, I don't think that matters, because what we're going to do instead is we're going to wipe away his board. There we go. And then, so that's 5 minions, and then we will also do this. Then we'll just click, simply because it makes it go slightly faster. Then, there we go, there we go, there we go. And this doesn't give him board space, and then we will just be, you know, armoring up. There we go, opponent. Deal with my bullshit. There we go. Then we'll just armor it up, armor it up, armor it up. Alright, did I already say that I'm not going to take this to the casual room because people do not like fighting against Mill? I probably already did, but in case I didn't, there we go. There's your warning. He'll be taking a total of 12 damage this turn. I don't know how much further my opponent can go. No, not 12 damage. Yeah, just about 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2, 3 plus 3, 6, 10 damage that turn. Okay, sure. He kills my whole board. So he goes Romath again. I believe the amount of armor I gained is more than enough for me to survive. Unless it isn't. But if it isn't, then kudos to my opponent yet again for basically finding a way to... This is honestly a really cool interaction, not gonna lie. for as much as people rag rather on the state of the wild format, seeing stuff like this is honestly really cool to me. And you know, this is why I chose to play Hearthstone in the first place. I have no idea how much time I have left here because I believe he has a lot of one-cost Romats in his hand. And he's just gonna kill me from here. And I just coughed really loudly there. Good God. And yeah, that is exact lethal. Like, holy shit. Kudos to you, opponent. That was definitely a cool way to finish me off. Let's move on to the next game.
Malfurion versus Valera.
We're facing off against Rogue, and I have no idea what Rogue players at Diamond are running. It could literally be any number of degenerate strategies or cool stuff. Like, there is actually a build of what people call Espionage Rogue that I tried out, and like I said in my Paladin video, I spent quite a bit of money on this game now. And I decided to build Espionage Rogue, and it surprisingly did very poorly for me. I don't know why. I literally like built the deck like well, not exactly 1-for-1, but basically any and all cards that add cards from other classes into the deck, I just put it in the deck, and I thought that was gonna do what I needed to do. Unfortunately, it didn't, and that surprised me. And I guess, having that much chaos in the deck is going to be detrimental for you, but I guess, some people just have better luck than I do. And I decided to take the deck apart after like just 10 games with it. I had my fun with it, but I think I'd rather do what I do with Rogue, and that's just coin Rogue instead. So there is that. Now I'm really I face off against Kingsbane Rogue, so we probably don't have a lot of time left against this deck. So he could just like OTK me from out of nowhere here. So might as well hedge my bets against whatever it is my opponent is doing. I think I'd rather ramp some more. We'll just bank that for next turn. So there's that. Then I'll just hopefully be able to press all the buttons, and there we go. Then once you're able to do that, you can just break the entire system here. Okay, my opponent is gonna try to kill me here. So there's that. Yep, cutting class, sure. There we go. Then you can actually just keep clicking this until it breaks. So we keep going and going and going. There we go. Ouch. 8 damage. Ouch. I could probably just die like very soon anyway, so I don't really care too much. I am not drawing too well against a deck that just wants to OTK me. So yeah, there's that. That's just the nature of Hearthstone sometimes. Oh, it's similar to the one from Saviors of Uldum, that stage in particular. You just press the button and then the pitch changes. That's cool. I'm not dead yet though. This is just like 11 damage, sure. But again, I'm not drawing too hot, so there's that. Yeah, I am definitely dead. So I'll just see you guys at the deck building screen. Okay, we're back here at deck building screen, and yeah. While it can still perform, not gonna lie, it can still perform, as you saw in one of the games, it's definitely been taken down a peg or two. With thanks to the inclusion of stuff like Kill Jaden, most of the more modern builds of this deck now incorporate a much larger spell package instead, and it has reduced the number of minions that are in the deck. That just provide way more impact than basically this is a 4 mana do nothing until something else interacts with it. And unfortunately, in this day and age of Hearthstone, that is sadly not enough. And hell, similar to Northshire Farmer and Hedge Maze, these cards these days sadly do not do enough. So yeah, definitely go for the Kill Jaden build of this deck instead. Christian Hearthstone has been iterating on this deck ever since I discovered his channel. Yeah, that is a far more optimal version of this. Although granted, again, this can still work, provided of course you face off against the slower decks in this format. So, if you guys like what you saw, hit like, comment, subscribe, and share this among your friends. And until next time, toodles!